Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Stuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Wednesdays. It's Tuesdays, study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're here live, and it's my daughter's birthday. Time flies. She's 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Unbelievable, huh? Gotta go spent the morning going through photos and time flies.
All right.
Looking at those pictures of me 19 years ago too. I was like a young man-ish. How are you today, Prabhu?
Pretty good, Raghunath. Good to be here with you this morning.
If you're new to the show, welcome. We've got a lot of people joining us from Rich Roll Podcast and from Tinfoil Hat Podcast and some other podcasts I've been doing. Been pushing Wisdom of the Sages. If you like what we're doing here, just spread it. This whole thing grows very organically by just you sharing little videos, commenting on YouTube, sharing YouTube clips, liking, subscribing, etc. That makes all the difference in the world. You know,
You
you
seem
share
like a
with someone.
master in the arts of social media and
Oh, I am, my friend.
promotion. Yeah.
I wish I
You just know you got to share this stuff, and
Yeah, sure.
something happens out there.
Something happens out there.
You
It's
tag
good
it or something.
It's good to share. Tag me and tag us. Follow us. Yeah. Follow us to Italy, everybody. We're winding down our registration for our Italy trip. If you want to get the heck out of Dodge this early summer, make it back in time for 4th of July, you can, or stay longer. But we have a great, reasonably priced trip to Tuscany. You want to join me, Mara, Kastuba, for all the great Italian sites. We're going to
Adventures.
Voltaire this year, Kastuba. We didn't go there last year. Voltaire.
All right.
We do some swimming, do some Italian food eating, do lots of kirtan. It's quite wonderful. Go to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Nope, don't go there. Go to the website, wisdomofthesages.com/events. That's how you find out more info on that. Or join me, Kastuba, and Mara in India for pilgrimage this year. That's going to be really wonderful. Going to Jagannath. Go to all my favorite places this year. I'm excited about that. Mara, you got any announcements for us?
Yeah, we got back to your cover group meetings today. The men meet at noon and the women meet at 2. And there's also in-person meetings in Alachua and Nashville.
That's great. Stuff's growing. All right, my friend. We got a nugget today for you.
Oh, who would that be from?
It's from Pedro Ribadeneira.
Yes. SJ.
SJ.
What does SJ stand for?
San Jose? I don't know.
I mean, I know what it refers to. I believe it refers to a monk in the order of the Jesuits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the Jesuits?
No, I don't.
Well,
Didn't they come up with the Enneagram, the Jesuits?
No. I mean, maybe some modern day Jesuit person has written on it.
Wait a second. I'm gonna
Yeah,
look that up right now.
that
Look
sounds
up.
like I don't think they know the origin of the Enneagram.
Look
But
that, I think they do. The Enneagram was the Jesuit thing. Look that up, please.
No, I don't believe so. But this is Pedro Ribadenarias. He's speaking of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, who was the founder of the Jesuit order. But Jesuits were pretty serious order of monks. And
Yeah,
when I was a brahmachari, I read a whole book about them.
really.
Very surrendered, very knowledgeable, very effective, like in their mission. But interesting person, the Saint Ignatius of Loyola. Did Mara get something on that?
Guru Jeff, maybe.
Okay, you're just throwing anything out there.
Oh no, AI
No,
is pulling from
my
all
understanding
over.
is that the Enneagram, the origin of it,
Eternal.
nobody's quite sure of. But in any case, that's neither here nor there. We want to hear what Pedro has to say.
Here's what he has to say. We frequently saw him.
Him meaning Saint Ignatius of Loyola.
Yeah, he's talking about Saint Ignatius. Okay. We frequently saw him taking the occasion of little things to lift his mind to God.
Little things.
Little things. Even the smallest.
No, can we start it again?
We frequently saw him taking the occasion of little things to lift his mind to God, who even in the smallest things is great, right? God is great, even in the smallest
Even
things.
the smallest things.
Right? You ever look at a fly? Just sit there next to a
man,
fly instead of
what a
shooing it away.
design.
What a design.
It's true.
It's amazing.
It's true.
From seeing a plant foliage, just looking at the plant, the leaves of a plant.
Well, that's the next thing. You're thinking like Saint Ignatius.
A leaf, a flower. Well, flowers are obvious, right? Any kind of fruit. That's quite amazing. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of fruit. From the consideration of a little worm or any other animal, he raised himself above the heavens and penetrated the deepest thoughts. And from each little thing, he drew doctrine and the most profitable counsels for the spiritual life.
From each little thing, let's look up the word. Could you look up the word doctrine, Mara? With each little thing, he drew doctrine. Like he got a whole teaching, like a whole, well, let's hear what you say. What do you got for doctrine?
A principle or position or the body of principles in a branch of knowledge or system of belief.
Okay. So just from looking at a leaf, from looking at a worm, or Raghunath looking at a fly, he was drawing so much. Share your thoughts, Raghunath. You're a man of the farm.
Well, I feel like it's once you're immersed in nature, it's easy to see God. You have to really be dull-headed to look at, like even like someone said to me once, because I had chickens. I have chickens now, but I had chickens at one time, and some other guy I met had chickens, and he was like just talking to me about chickens. He's like, but yeah, they're the dumbest animals. They're so dumb. I was thinking, I'm like, are you even hanging out with these chickens?
Have you spent any time with them?
Yeah, it's
Heard
just
what
like
they have to
everyone's
say.
things have a different types of intelligence, and you sort of like clue into them and zone into them. You get to know them in different ways, and then there's like the beauty of a feather, like a feather. Who could even create a feather? And then the birds that can fly. That's like a whole nother thing. It's another mind-blowing thing. And then there's, just how they survive and how they live and how they feed themselves and how they nurture. Incredible. And then you become sensitive to everything like living, and everything has a strong desire to live, and you just how they build nests. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's unlimited.
Beehive?
Or how the herbs of the earth are perfectly designed to treat the ailments in the body.
Oh my God. Violets? Violets? Yeah, violets.
Violets.
Right now we got stinging nettle, plantain, violets, and what else we got growing? Dandelion. Just like walk out. It's like there's a whole medicine chest that we're trying to buy Monsanto things to get rid of these things. Are you kidding me? God's sending like these gifts. God's sending like a apothecary for us, and we're trying to like wipe it out.
and create something that's meant to do the same thing but doesn't do it as well, or that comes with all kind of side effects. It's
wrecking like the water table. There's a water table. There's water underground stored for us when we're thirsty,
full of minerals,
and the earth pushes it up into a spring, and then it flows over for our taking, and we're dumping.
And it just drew in all of the minerals from the earth, and they're infused in that water. It's infused water.
Yeah, and it's ripe. It's coming up, and we're just like pouring lawn fertilizer on it, wrecking these water tables.
Fluoride in there.
Shocking. It's shocking.
So
right now I'm studying about like reforesting deserts.
Okay.
Very interesting thing. That's you could get lost in that that YouTube search for a while. How they reforest deserts, unbelievable.
Amazing. So this Pedro, who I assume was a monk himself, he's looking at Saint Ignatius, and he's seeing how this person is finding God. He's playing with a dynamic here, right? He's looking at the tiniest things and understanding the biggest things.
Sure.
Right. So there's this macro and there's a micro. There's evidence, and the thing, the fascinating. I would think for a scientist, it would be fascinating to go deeper and deeper into these things, and you continue to see, like, you open a new door with your microscope, or you open a new door with your latest revelation about, oh my goodness, it's there's greater design still underneath this all, And so St. Ignatius was kind of seeing that by looking at small things, he was understanding big things, or he was understanding God. That connection, you used a term a few minutes ago. You said you have to be so dull-minded. I don't think you finished your sentence, but I think what you're meaning to say was, how can you see all of this and not understand that there has to be something, someone, some intelligence, some designer behind it all? Now, we could, I suppose, dull would be one way to describe it. Sometimes it's like over intelligent, right? Or just their brain may not be dull. Like, they may be able to understand and calculate, things, rapidly and so on. But it may have more to do with a disposition, a psychological disposition, or hesitancy to accept something, hesitancy due to some inner psychological thing that makes one resistant to seeing what's right there.
I like this. We always used to talk about the Fibonacci spiral, how it's like completely perfect, no matter how small it gets, no matter how big it gets. And we see nature moving in the direction of even war. We get war between nations, and war on the college campus, war in the family, war in the dogs and the cats. You can sit up at my pond and see, okay, here come the snakes, and they're going after the little guppies. They're going after the salamanders. And then you can go even lower and lower. You can find wars amongst bacteria within your body, and different blood cells are fighting wars. What makes you and you can go lower and lower and lower, and you go bigger and bigger and bigger. And then and the yogis say there's wars in the heavens amongst asuras and suras. And it just keeps going on forever. What makes us think that for some reason just stops when our vision stops? These are just the beautiful cycles within material nature, and they're observable within our range of our senses. And then as we learn to expand the senses, as we get the microscopes,
with a little imagination.
With a little imagination, you can see there's probably other things going on in celestial bodies, much bigger than we can conceive.
I read a letter that was, sometimes I think religious people want to quote Einstein as being a believer in God. And I believe they're like some fake,
Einstein quotes.
Yeah, fake Einstein quotes. There's no source for them, so their validity is questioned. But I found something that seems to be more solid. This was taken from a book called Einstein: The Human Side. And in 1936, Albert Einstein wrote the following letter to a sixth grade student. Her name was Phyllis Wright. And she wrote to him asking whether scientists pray, and if so, what do they pray for? All right.
Interesting.
So this is written on January 24th, 1936 by Albert Einstein. And here we just see, and the reason I want to bring this up is what I appreciate in this is his objectivity. He's not coming out and saying, I believe in God. Exactly. But what he's doing is he's showing the objectivity of a scientist. So he says, Dear Phyllis, I have tried to respond to your question as simply as I could. Here's my answer. He says, scientific research is based on the idea that everything that takes place is determined by laws of nature, and therefore this holds for the actions of people. For this reason, a research scientist will hardly be inclined to believe that events could be influenced by a prayer, i.e., by a wish addressed to a supernatural being. Okay, so he's saying this is the way scientists operate generally, with a certain assumption, a presumption that everything that takes place is according to the laws that we've identified. But then he goes on to say, however, it must be admitted that our actual knowledge of these laws is only imperfect and fragmentary. Right? Fragmentary means like we just have little pieces and they're not even tied together. So that actually the belief in the existence of basic all-embracing laws in nature also rests on a sort of faith. Okay? Now that's subjective. He's saying that we're making presumptions and it's our faith that they are correct.
Sure.
Right? So in one sense he's saying we're all investing in faith, one way or another. All the same, this faith has been largely justified so far by the success of scientific research. So he's swinging this way, then he's swinging back that way, and then he's swinging back this way. Now he goes and he swings again. But on the other hand, every one of us who is, and this, I think this relates to what we were reading this morning, to our nugget this morning. But on the other hand, everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science, and it's interesting what he might mean by seriously. Perhaps he means objectively, right? With a real eagerness to understand truth. Everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe. A spirit vastly superior to that of man, and one in the face of which we, with our modest powers, must feel humble.
He's talking to a 6-year-old again?
I know.
It's like,
It's not a 6-year-old, a sixth grader, but still.
Sixth grader must. If I was a sixth grader, I got this letter, I'd be like, go through that first 2 sentences and like, okay, I'm gonna put this back.
Okay, but hold it. So he says, okay, but on the other hand, one who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe, a spirit vastly superior to that of man, and one in the face of which we, with our modest powers, must feel humble. In this way, the pursuit of science leads to a religious feeling of a special sort, which is indeed quite different from the religiosity of someone more naive. I hope this answers your question. Best wishes, yours, Albert Einstein.
It doesn't, thank you. But nice try.
No, it did, I think. And whether she could grasp it all, but who knows what else she wrote in the letter that might have indicated, her ability to grasp this. But here he's saying, if you look carefully at something, this is what St. Ignatius was doing, right? If you look carefully at something, you should feel a spirit manifests that is vastly superior to man, that has created this herb, that is healing this body, that both have designs so complex that we can't even understand it, but it's masterful, right? And so you go out into that garden, and I have one other nugget tied to this, and this connects to I think, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, something. Didn't we had a nugget that had to do with how we get all these things and they're speeding everything up. Oh yeah, we did that nugget where we analyzed that TikTok video, and it was saying back in the way that we grew up, like in the 70s, we didn't have all these things that are like moving faster, and so how it affects one's patience, and how when your patience gets affected, then you're just dissatisfied all the time, right? Your mind is always disturbed. So this is from someone named May Sarton. I have no idea who she is, but it's about gardening. And she says, everything that slows us down and forces patience, everything that sets us back into slow cycles of nature is a help. Gardening is an instrument of grace. But that's interesting too, right? Because like, back, no matter what age we're in, we have to wait for that. You plant the seed and you tend to it, and you have to wait there patiently for it to grow, And
I find that with like riding a bicycle. If I ride my bike on a regular route that I would drive, you just take things slower. You notice things more, and of course there was a time before bicycles where people just walked. And the same road you'd walk down every day or drive down every day now becomes a whole different road when you walk, and it definitely slows things down. When I hear about these pilgrimages of that happened 300 years ago or 500 years ago in India, and they're going to walk to Jagannath Puri from Bengal, like we read that story the other day, or told that story about Shivananda Sain.
Yeah,
what a whole different trip that is than flying into the Bhubaneswar airport, getting picked up by a bus. In an hour, we'll be in Jagannath Puri. It's just walking to those places where you're building anticipation the entire time.
Yes, like that time I went to Tirupati.
That's no.
But
what happened?
I think I shared this on the show once, but it was nicely arranged for me by our friend Radhakund Prabhu, that I was traveling to Tirupati. He got in touch with the temple there. They set me up. It was great.
There's the long line and the short line, right?
Not that.
Okay.
But they said they would send someone to go with me the next day to go have darshan of Balaji, which is like on this hill where there's more than 3,500 steps to get to the top of the hill.
4 hills.
But you only have to walk up one of them, right? And so you got to climb that, and it's very beautiful. And then you wait in line for a long time. And yes,
like
part of the
long time,
reason,
like 8 hours, long time.
And part of, a large part of the reason why they're sending that person with me is because there's some technicalities to getting in the line and so on, and it would help me do that, and it involves the passport and all this. In any case, so they're sending that person to assist me. I was like, oh wow, how thoughtful, nice, So then when I met the person early the next morning, at the break of dawn, I'm ready to go up that hill, and that I've heard about. And this temple is like the most famous, popular, ancient temple, of Lord Vishnu. It goes back, many, many, many centuries.
Time.
All the great saints have gone there, over the centuries. And so I said, okay, I'm ready to go. He said, okay, well, we got a car ready. We'll drive on up.
You drove up the hill.
Well, slow down, Raghunath. Let me tell the story. Let me tell. So I said, no. I really wanted to walk, to climb up the hill. And he said, oh, no, Prabhu, you don't want to do that.
Oh, Prabhu, no. Very, very difficult, Prabhu. Many, many steps.
And I said, no, that's exactly what I want to do. And he kept insisting that you don't want to do that. Like you're just going to waste your time. You're wearing yourself out. This is a much better way to go. I think he didn't want to do that, And so he's convinced me but it's exactly what I wanted to do. So I realized I was kind of stuck because it was the graciousness of the devotees to provide this person to assist me. And
sure.
And so I just had to kind of cave into what he wanted to do, and then
Well,
what? And then while you're waiting in that line, it's like it's hours, and you're kind of scrunched,
yeah.
and but even that, as you were saying, it's like it's building your anticipation, and you're surrounded by everything in your area is something that has the potential to stimulate, the kind of mood that you want to go when you actually have that moment of darshan, when you have that moment before Lord Vishnu. And he started inquiring from me on different topics, like controversial political kind of topics,
Right. Stuff you don't want to talk about, like.
And yeah, and so I was just trying to change the subject or avoid it, or just kind of like subtly show my disinterest in that topic. And then he just wasn't picking up.
He was trying to squirrel you.
Yeah.
Squirrels get sent to you on a regular basis to deviate you from Krishna
He
consciousness.
wasn't picking up on my signals. And so then I just said, respectfully, I said, Prabhu, honestly, I just prefer not to discuss these kind of things. Don't get angry with me.
Oh, really? He got angry at you?
He told me I responded kind of like really calm, and he's, well, don't get angry with me. So anyway, I when it came, I had the darshan, and then I walked down the hill, and I said, I'll walk down the hill alone. I just want to spend this time by myself. So I walked down alone. And when I got to the bottom of the temple, I bumped in the temple, the ISKCON temple at the bottom of the hill. I bumped into an old friend of mine, Riyad Banu, who I hadn't seen in 9 years. Somehow, he happened to be there right at that time. Yeah. And so we decided tomorrow we'll walk up the hill together. And so we did that. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to climb those 34. We wanted the austerity. We wanted the simplicity. We wanted the extended time. We wanted to slow it down, and so that our minds could be in the right state, right state for the right devotional mood. And also, I think what's being said here through these ideas that we're exploring this morning, slow down so that we can see all the evidence to help us understand reality that we just zoom past or zoom over. Like sometimes these atheistic scientists, they'll say there's no evidence for God. Evidence is everywhere. It's a question of how you're going to process that evidence. It's kind of like, if there's a bank robbery, or a robbery where there's a safe involved, and we see that the safe was opened, like the door was opened, and what to speak of if there's evidence that it was done quickly, right? Like within a short amount of time, that safe was opened quickly. Then that's evidence that someone that knew the combination was involved in this, right? Now, it doesn't prove who did it. It's not even exactly proof that it was an inside job, but it's evidence that there was. And you start to add up the different pieces of evidence, and it gets to the point where it's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Sure.
And so to just look at to do like St. Ignatius was, and look at the leaf, and look at the worm, and look at the herb, and look at the plant, look at the tree, and look at everything else that we're seeing in life. And science is just showing us that actually it's far more intricate and far more complex and far more well-designed than we could even imagine just with our blunt senses, to see it all and say there's no evidence. No, if you say that, it already, I know that you're compromised. If you say there's a lot of evidence, but we don't quite know what to make of it, or there's a lot of evidence, but I don't believe that it proves. Okay, maybe there's some level of subjectivity there, or objectivity. But to just say there's no evidence of God, already I know that you've been compromised by something within you.
Yeah, really, you really have to stick your head in the sand.
Yeah,
to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
By the way, I also had one of my first pilgrimages I took people on a long time ago. I took them to Balaji also, and we did the steps. We walked the steps, but when we got to the top, Radha couldn't put us in the fast line. There's like a VIP line, which it only takes like an hour to have darshan. And then there was the 8-hour line. So I was like, oh my God, we're skipping to the fast line. And if you're unfamiliar with this, it's almost like going through TSA a pre-check or something, or the lines in security where you're going, or Disneyland where you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in these zigzaggy lines to get to the front. So that goes on for hours, but I was like, wow, this is great. We're in the short line. And because it was a short line, we're sort of like not focused. And when we actually did go in front of the deity, we weren't even like looking. We were just sort of like looking around. And I remember Radha Kund in that big, bold voice of his was saying, see the Lord, because you only have a moment to actually have darshan. And
because the line is so long
and they push you right out. Yeah. So he's looking, he's like, what? He's like, why are you guys looking around? See the Lord, see the Lord, see the Lord.
As soon as you started saying, see the Lord, Gus started looking around. Right now, look.
My dog. And then, so anyway, but I ran into Radhanath Swami at the end of the trip, and I said, Maharaj, we got to have darshan of Balaji. And guess what? We got in the short line. It only took us 1 hour. And he goes, oh, I actually like the long line. I was like, why? He goes, the building of anticipation to see the Lord is so important.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's the same thing. Walking, when people used to do Chardam Yatra and go to Badrinath, Kedarnath, Yamunotri, Gangotri, walking up the Himalayas. And a lot of people you can find people who still do this. There are walking trails to do.
Yeah. I wonder how long that would take.
The Himalaya. It's not, truthfully, I don't think they're that far. It's when you're in a car, you have to come down to these forks in the road to go back up. There are ways to go from.
Think you could do it in a month and a half?
I don't know, actually, truthfully.
Maybe
there
in a summer.
There are people that know that do walk. They walk from. You're supposed to start at Haridwar, but you can get a car ride up a little bit. Okay.
All right.
Let's go on. That was nice.
So, any case, seeing God everywhere. This is what Prahlad was doing. Hiranyakashipu was like, "Where is your God?" We're going to get to the heavy stuff now, Raghunath. Hiranyakashipu is going to
Where is your God?
Out
in a leaf. There is my God in a leaf.
Wake up
in a babbling brook. Okay. Hiranyakashipu replied, "Oh,
hold it. You got to chant your mantras.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim yasam tato jayam mudirayat." Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Yes.
Reading from the
by the way, Raghunath, this new camera that you got where you look straight at the screen, this is great. Because before you were always like this.
That's the way I am anyway, with or without a camera.
But now you're looking right at us.
Looking around.
This is awesome.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Text 11. Now, Hiranyakashipu is about to reply to his little boy.
He's angry too.
I know. Sometimes little kids can say things that can just get under your skin. Like they're schooling you, and they're right.
Yeah, he was telling him, "You haven't conquered your enemies." What are you talking about? I haven't conquered my enemies. I've conquered everybody. Internal enemies. No, you think I'm this? He's thinking I'm the yogi that's like I stood on my toes for like years and years and years. Who is this little kid to tell me anything like this? He's angry.
Hiranyakashipu replied, "You rascal! You are trying to minimize my value." Right, no one likes that. When we're in our ego, no one likes our value to be minimized. As if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, for this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged by those who are about to die.
Yikes. Right?
He gets under his skin. He chops down the ego. And what do you want to do? You want to kill him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Ego. O most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller above everyone, who is all pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? And people say that all the time. Oh, yeah, if there's a God, why doesn't he get up and do a little dance for me? What kind of an argument is that? There is a dance. Just the dance of the nature. You ever see tornado?
I have.
Tornadoes are
I mean, not up
breathtaking.
close, not in person. I've only seen.
Me neither, but they're actually quite beautiful, as destructive as they are. It's a
I-
destructive natural force, but it's like sacred geometry.
Okay. It's a big Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah, it's a big Fibonacci destructive spiral. Okay. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who is very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son. I skipped one? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep,
13.
Yeah.
Because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body.
Oh.
Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. Huh? I want to see it. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who is very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words, cursing him again and again. Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column.
Ooh.
Then, from within the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhisthira, this sound reached even the abodes of the demigods like Lord Brahma, and when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. To prove that his statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord Hari is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall.
Okay, wonderful form. Adbhuta Rupam.
Adbhuta Rupam.
So this form of Nrsimhadeva, so you know, there are the way that the sages explain Krishna and all the avatars is that from Krishna, and this is found in Bhagavatam, right? Ete Changsa Kala Pungsa, Krishna's two, Bhagavan's Svayam. It lists all these different avatars.
Mhm.
And then it says, but all of these are all coming from sweet little baby Krishna, right? They're all coming, there's one source for them all. There's one source from which they all spring, right?
Mm.
And that is the form of Krishna, the two-handed, beautiful, lovely, flute-playing boy surrounded by loving devotees.
Very approachable.
Approachable and loving and very beautiful in a human-like way, right? Then he expands into different expansions, and from them come different avatars of all different varieties. There's Leela avatars that, you know, they're playing, right? Nrsimhadeva is a Leela avatar. He takes joy in becoming angry to protect his beloved. You know, that's he takes joy in it. It's his Leela. It's his pastime. Lord Ram, that's a Leela avatar. Right? He comes to, you know, conquer over Ravana and to rescue Sita. You know, it's exciting and satisfying for him to become fully absorbed in that adventure. So there's Leela avatars. And then there's Guna avatars, you know, who are these more in charge of the material realm and the different modes of nature. Someone has to govern that. There's Purusha avatars, and there's all these different types of avatars, Yuga avatars. But amongst them all, and there's a book, fascinating book actually. I think for a lot of people, until a certain point, this book might seem, this Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami, it can seem, it's kind of like a technical book. It's an analysis of all these different avatars and how to understand them, because there's so many Puranas and so many, so many texts. How do you make sense of them all and categorize them? He's done it here. He's done the research and laid it out of how to understand Krishna and all of his different avatars and so on. So for someone with an interest in this, like a well-developed interest in it, it's like, oh, it's answering all my questions that I've had for years. For someone that's kind of new to it, it's like, it's tedious.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. But there's a mention here about Nrsimhadeva, and it's something that I don't fully understand. But it says he's describing different avatars, and then so Rupa Goswami is writing. He says, now for the para avasta forms, para avasta. From what I believe, para means higher, and avasta I think just means situated. So I think literally para avasta just means situated higher, like these are categorized as higher. So now the para avasta forms, according to the Padma Purana, he's gone and done this research, Nrsimha, Lord Nrsimhadeva that we're talking about now, Ramachandra and Krishna are complete in all 6 qualities. They are para avasta forms of the Supreme Lord, like lamps lit from another lamp. So for some reason, this form of Nrsimhadeva, I mean, we're hearing why, because it's full of the 6 qualities, right? Which I assume he's speaking of the qualities that we refer to when we say Bhagavan, right? Mara knows those, all 6. Here she comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you always forget one, right? It's always hard
I
to get
do. Strength,
1,
renunciation,
2,
fame,
3,
intelligence,
4,
beauty,
beauty.
and
See, there's always one.
power.
Yeah, strength.
I already said
Oh, you
strength.
said strength, oh, that's power.
Strength.
Knowledge.
Renunciation.
No,
I
she
said
that.
renunciation.
Oh,
Fame.
All right, wait.
Did I say fame?
Fame.
Wealth, fame.
Oh, wealth. Wealth.
Wealth.
Okay. So somehow this form, amongst all these different, there's Krishna, which is the original form. There's Rama, and then there's Nrsimhadeva. That this particular form is somehow very special, somehow very manifesting opulences beyond that of even so many powerful and fascinating avatars. This form of Krishna as the half man, half lion, is especially worshipped and especially is especially dear and especially fascinating, especially special, amongst all the avatars. And he's about to bust out in this Ugram Virdam, like this it's a manifestation of ferocious anger, the ferocious anger of pure love, right? It's like if there's an anger that manifests when your beloved is threatened, this is the most condensed and powerful manifestation of that love that burst out of this pillar. And for all the centuries coming down, for millennia, the Krishna bhaktas, the bhakti yogis, they hold this form as very special and very dear.
Yeah, it's a manifestation of God's anger when the devotees are being persecuted. I think in the West we have this idea of God is angry if I misstep. God is angry if I sin. God is angry if I don't live up to my highest potential. And that's not it. That's not it. we cause our own karma by our bad choices. God's not punishing you. Your own bad choices are punishing you.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an expression of God's anger, and that comes when the devotees are being persecuted because the devotees are dear to him, and doesn't like to see, just like a father doesn't like to see the children.
He takes it personally.
Yeah, takes it personally, and kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And okay, now you're going to see something magnificent. Yes, he is in that pillar. Yes, he is in the. Yes, he's in the beautiful designs of the sand when the waves come in. He's in the beautiful veins of the leaves. He's in the beautiful circular lines of a piece of wood that's sawed right down the middle, and you can see all the what is it called? In a tree. Rings in the tree.
You know,
and he's also actually manifest in full as well. Right. When he so desires to manifest.
We'll hear a description of this form now, and it's fascinating. You know, Ashoka Krishna is writing on the chat board. Demons get the claw, devotees get the paw. Right? But yeah, the acharyas do say they say that he's like a mother lion. Like a mother lion is very protective of the cubs, and you know the mouth of that mother lion, the teeth of that lion, are terrifying for anyone that's mistreating the cubs. You know, they get those jaws. For the cub, those very same mouth, that very same jaws, they gently pick you up from the nape of the neck and lovingly move you from here to there. You know, it's so that ferocity, it's here's my ferocious side and here's my loving side. And if you threaten my loving side, because Krishna is the god of love, then he manifests this ferocious form. And that's his Leela too, because there's some taste in protecting the one you love, right? There's some flavor there that he wants to taste, and he's tasting it in this form.
Narada. Mara.
You want to keep reading?
No, it's not that time. I just can't read it. Okay.
What happened?
18. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Shoosh.
So this is the first, if we go back, remember that long before this, Hiranyakashipu wanting power, really what he was looking for was immortality. He performed severe austerities, and on the basis of those austerities, he was granted benedictions from Lord Brahma. He asked for immortality, and Brahma said, I have a very long lifetime, but even I don't have immortality. So you're going to have to ask me for something else. And then he tried to kind of create loopholes where he could get immortality without actually getting it. So he said, you know, I don't want to be killed by, I want to be, you know, I want to be unable to be killed by man or animal. Granted. That was the first thing. There's a whole list of them, right? But this is the first one.
Not in the air, not on the ground.
Yeah. So this was the first condition that the Lord found a loophole around. Okay, he manifested in a form that wasn't man and wasn't animal. It was half man, half animal.
It was man-animal.
Manimal.
Okay. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide. You know, this is interesting. This is how every demon goes down. They're living in their ego. They're proud. If you ever watch a you know, like a mafia movie, you know, like these guys think they're undefeatable or no one can take me down. Then all of a sudden, the other family comes and shoots them down, and they're like, oh. And this is how, or sometimes you see with like MMA fighters who like live in their ego. Some of them live in their ego, and when they go down, like, what must it be like to go down and your whole it's not just like you going down. your
Right.
ego's going down. And right when you were under this illusion that you were infallible, and then it just like crushes you. Some
Or
people
like
die
the
like that.
behind the music documentaries.
Or the behind the music documentaries.
Those
Those
great
are really
big
sad.
rock stars, and then they all have the similar pattern, how they all go down and the ego gets
They all go
crushed.
down. Motley Crue played at the Bowery Ballroom last night.
Okay.
That must have been
Well,
hard.
they're still going.
I know.
But I think they've gone down. I mean, the fact that they're playing the Bowery Ballroom.
That's what I'm
means that they've
saying.
gone
That's what
down.
I'm
Yeah,
saying. That's going
yeah.
down.
Playing a tiny place, yeah. All right. Hiranyakashipu
Hiranyakashipu
studied
the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Nrsimhadeva standing before him was. Like, what?
Is this Vishnu? Who is this?
I know. And it's like, I'm going down. That fear right there that Hiranyakashipu is experiencing. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, and his chest broad, his waist thin, and his hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon.
You know what I saw recently?
Squirrel me.
Not squirrel, on the point.
Okay.
But it was one of those little reels or whatever, and shorts.
Because Tuba's watching reels again.
And it said something about like why we need to have glass at zoos or something like that. And it showed all these little children, and they're on one side of the glass.
Oh yeah, and the animal dives on the
Pounces.
glass. Pounces.
Yeah, like the animal like out of nowhere comes running, and you see the ferocity of a lion, or a tiger, and the speed and the power, and they go right to like they're just gonna grab that kid and just tear it apart.
If you think about it, a kid is a perfect size for it's like a tater tot for a tiger.
Oh yeah,
It's like so attractive.
Yeah, and the ferocity, the power in a lion is just, if you get close to it, it's overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And so now this form, forget about it. It's just like,
and then and you can't run up a tree. Cats run up trees too. I'm not gonna get away from that. I'm just gonna run up a tree. No, you can't even run up a tree faster than a cat. Cats are way much faster. It's at that point, you just got to give up. Just eat me, please eat me quick. Eat my head first. It'll help with the pain. Okay. His arms. Where, Mara? Touch the screen. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Right? Arrogant. Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into the fire.
Prabhupada in the commentary, he wrote like it's a common thing, the fight between the lion and the elephant. And he said, but generally the lion wins, so that's also appropriate here, yeah.
Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by its spiritual effulgence. We got to go. It's time.
No.
It's time.
All right. We'll finish this up tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Ready for some takeaways?
Take it away.
All right. When you're immersed in nature, it's easy to see God.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get Mara in the screen here. Mara, you're out of this.
Sorry.
There.
Mara, she's just she doesn't want any attention upon her. You're the star. It's all about you, Mara. This is what you've always wanted. She's so not like that. She's so not.
Study small things to understand the big things like God.
There you go.
We're all investing in faith one way or another.
Mhm.
Slow down, climb the hill.
Move too fast.
Yes. Slow down, climb the hill, take the steps, and cultivate the right mindset.
Mm.
Evidence for God is everywhere.
Take
all
the
over the
steps. Take the steps, Kostuba.
What steps?
Take the steps.
Take the steps.
Not
climb
the
hill.
elevator, not the car. Take the
Oh,
steps.
Take the steps. Right.
Take
Right.
the steps. That's our
That's a
maybe that's
t-shirt.
our real big takeaway. And take the steps today. Take the slow, take the scenic route. Get off the highway, take the back roads.
Maybe the 12 steps.
Take the 12 steps. Some of you got to take the 12 steps.
Okay. Evidence for God is everywhere.
You said that
Gardening,
one,
yeah. Gardening is an instrument of grace.
Gardening is everywhere.
Okay.
And
And
demons get the claw, devotees get the paw.
get the paw.
Oh.
Thanks everybody joining us.
That's a good one. That's a t-shirt right there.
It is. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Maybe flip it. Devotees get the paw. Demons get the claw.
Yeah. And if you're a real demon, you get maw paw. You get maw paw.
Maw paw. What's that?
Like more paw.
No. Okay.
Criminals get the law.
Yeah.
Trying to think of rhymings.
Demons get the claw. Devotees get the paw. Have you ever seen how big a tiger paw is?
It's huge. His hands are
massive.
huge, man. I saw this leopard jump off of a thing and attack a guy on a motorcycle yesterday. Not in person, of course. This is all my studying of animal attacks.
Yes, yes.
Oh, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for hearing the Bhagavatam on a regular basis. Sometimes you feel like it, and sometimes you don't feel like it. You know what? Show up and hear it. Hear it on your downtime. Hear it when you're doing some work outside, working in the garden, vacuuming the rug on your way to work. Sit there and listen to it. You can do that as well. You do yoga in the background while you're doing it. But either way, hear that Bhagavatam. Hear it, wisdom on a regular basis. Especially this Vedic wisdom. It's very powerful. It's very transformational. Make that commitment. If you're new to this, make it for a month and see what happens in that month. You're going to find that your thoughts are different. Your choices are different. Your kinds of recreation and the company you keep are different. You really want to change your life. You change the company that you keep. Even the company of media and sound. Huh?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody give us a thumbs up if you like Raghunath's new camera there. He's looking right at you now.